Hi, all. My name is Dr. Donna Novak. I'm with Simi Psychological Group, and we're going to be talking about panic attacks today. So, how to take hold of these panic attacks that can be really overwhelming and take over. It's no secret that life can feel really overwhelming sometimes. There's so much going on at once. If it's not just as an example, if it's not your boss putting unrealistic deadlines, maybe your sister's having a some kind of breakdown or a hard time and you want to be able to support her, and if it's not that, then maybe it's your son's teacher calling and saying that he had some kind of outburst with a peer at school. It could be so many things happening at once, and it can really feel like overload. We place so much on our mind and our bodies and all these to-dos that we have and these worries, and stressors going on at the same time can really affect us physically as well. Our body can go into a fight or flight type of mode, and that response can really impact us all the way around, and it can feel really alarming. Many people who experience panic attacks at first really don't even understand what's happening. They could, but they may not, and they may feel like it's a heart attack or something like really severe, like physically happening to them, and they go to the emergency room to find out that it's actually anxiety. And it can be really shocking for a lot of people. That definitely, we see that in our office quite a bit, where people come in, it's like, I thought I was having something like some kind of heart attack happening, and when my doctor told me it was panic, like I was really shocked. Can't believe our mind can do that much to us physically, but it really can. Um, so if you live with this type of overwhelm, with all these different things happening, so panic attacks can be something that can happen with these triggers, and this overwhelm and panic can really feel all-consuming, and it can impact all parts of your life. Worrying about a triggering event, something happening, and a consequential panic attack can really affect your ability to live in the moment and enjoy your life. Much of the time, it's really hard to even know when a panic attack can happen. I definitely hear that quite a bit, where it's like, okay, I want to plan for this, and I know it could be a situation where there's a lot of people, or I know it could be a situation of whatever it is, but sometimes I just don't know, and it can be just this random trigger that will happen in the moment, and I can't even predict, and that can feel really scary for people. One of the biggest things that I hear in regards to panic attacks is um, the fear of it happening. So the anxiety of having a panic attack is, what can actually lead to a panic attack first off, but it can feel all consuming because you don't know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen, and that anxiety of it happening is something that can really impact the mind and body. So it could potentially look like this for you when you have a panic attack. Let's say, for example, you have a really stressful day at work. Maybe it's your boss that's piling on more on you, or you have a particular project, let's say, that you need to get under some kind of deadline. And you know that you also have to get home. Maybe you have company. Maybe your wife is expecting you to come home. And you get a phone call from your wife, and then at the same time you just remember, hey, there was this whole section of a project that I completely forgot that I needed to do, and that could be the trigger just in of itself. Those two do's and that overwhelm, and just feeling like, hey, the everything is kind of coming on me at the same time, that could be the trigger that could lead to a panic attack. um, and then in that moment, you can just start to experience all that physical response of your heart beating really fast. You can so you can start feeling like you're having trouble breathing in that moment, and really struggling with finding that breath, and figuring out how to kind of like slow it back down. You can feel like your palms are really sweaty, your mind is racing, possibly really tense or feeling very jittery. So all of those are physical responses to panic. All of that can be happening at once. And you tell yourself to stop, because that's the instinct is stop, is, I don't want to feel this. But then it's not good enough, essentially, a lot of the times when you say that, and you know how horrible it feels, and your mind is just going to how horrible it is, and how it's nothing is getting better, and you don't know what to do, and you just kind of feel like everything collapsing on you at the same time, and it's really overwhelming. So in that moment, if it looks anything like that for you, you know how having those kind of panic attacks can really take away from quality of life and from you enjoying your life, because you're going to fear that that's going to happen. And your mind is going to be all consuming with, all the overwhelm of life, all the things that when things get piled on you, or when there's a particular trigger that could potentially happen, or whatever it is, that you're going to start feeling like it's just too much, and you're going to have a hard time, feeling content and happy, and that's not a good feeling. So today we're going to talk about how to control these panic attacks, and how to ease your mind and body and take hold of life, and not feel a victim to panic. At least we're going to start talking about how you can make that happen and how that's possible, and moving in that direction. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about four. So first one I want to talk about is realizing what it is and what it isn't. So recognize when you are having a panic attack. Recognize that that is what it is, or it's the start of a panic attack at least. And it's actually really good to be able to remember or to know when is the start of your panic, because it's going to be easier to turn it around, as you could imagine, in the beginning than it is as you're in the height of a panic attack. If you've ever tried to kind of turn things around when it's really heightened, it's very hard. So knowing that, although it can physically feel that way, know that a panic attack can't harm you. It is not a heart attack. It is panic. And panic is something that the mind has a big factor in to affect how your body is responding to it. And telling yourself there are certain things that you can tell yourself that are going to make it much worse, or potentially can make it much worse and escalate it. And there's things that you can tell yourself that will make it much better. And in the moment, it can feel very hard. I don't want to make it sound like it's easy in the midst of a panic attack, but owning that you can do all of these strategies, and that you can make things go in the direction that you want, and that you have kind of control over this, and that you have the ability to ease it and calm it down, and that it's not going to take over you, is really where your mind shift needs to go, in that direction, to take hold of panic. So telling yourself things like, this is the worst and it won't ever get better, gives so much power to the panic, and it will only escalate a panic attack. So learning how to put anxiety in its place reestablishes that you are the owner of it, rather it being the owner of you, and being able to tell yourself things like, it's going to pass and I'm going to get through this, and it's panic, it can't hurt me, and I'm going to take hold of it. All of those type of things will help you feel so much better in regards to that panic, and recognizing where your mind is going, where it's going to pull you in one way or another, and know that it's a panic attack. As a result, you're going to feel much more in control of this panic, and it will have less power the more that you practice this. The second one is do the opposite of what the panic is telling you to do. So panic is going to automatically have that physical response like we talked about. So it's going to have you breathing really fast. It's going to have you your heart beating really fast. So we want to do things that are going to tell it, hey, we're going to do the opposite of what you're telling me to do right now. And an example of that could be counting from 10 to 1, but really slow. So a lot of times when I talk to the clients that I work with about this, are like, oh, I did that. And I'm like, okay, so how did you count? 10, 9, 8, 7? No, that's not going to help, because what's happening is that you are actually going, even if you're going a little bit slower than the panic, but you're not going enough, of the opposite direction, you're still going along with the panic. So you need to be able to really slow it down. So imagine that you are counting with those Mississippis in the middle, and you're really slowing it down. So you're taking hold of like the fact that I need to do the opposite of what it's telling my body and mind to do right now. That's what's going to help, and really having that in mind. So that's going to help you slow your heart rate. It's going to help you slow your breathing, and it's going to help your mind focus in on your body, which is really key. That is a really key piece, is your mind is no longer racing into places that are not helpful. Instead, it's focusing on your mind. It's focusing on your body slowing down. It's focusing on your mind counting. It's focusing on something that is opposite and contrary to what the panic is telling you to do. So, as a response, when you do this, you are going to feel like you have a lot more control over this. You're going to feel more at ease, and you're going to feel like you have a tactic to kind of slow it all down. So the third thing kind of goes along with what we're talking about here of doing the opposite, but that's just mindfulness. Mindfulness is really key when it comes to panic attacks. So what does mindfulness really mean? You need to be able to help yourself be in the moment. So counting helps you do that. Focusing on your breathing helps you do that. But it could also be focusing on a particular object in the room, like really try to get into the details of that object. So what does it look like? And maybe what does it feel like if you go and you touch it? If there's something in particular maybe that you want to, you can try to eat in that moment. What does it really taste like? What's the texture? So you really want to get as detailed as you can into something in that moment, even if you are trying to sit in a chair. Rather than focusing on the panic, is what does it feel like to sit in this chair? What's the cloth? What does it feel like with my legs kind of leaning up against it? Or, everything is really helping pull yourself back into a particular moment, and that's mindfulness. And it's really key to take hold of a panic attack. And so it can, like we talked about, it can be things in related to all senses. And there's a lot of really great mindfulness exercises out there. And feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be able to talk to you about some more mindfulness kind of particular strategies. But mindfulness is really key to help you kind of reorient your mind and to help you feel more in control of the panic rather than it taking over you. The last one we're going to talk about is picture a calm or happy place that you can't visualize in a particular moment. So if there is something that you can come to mind, and deciding beforehand what that will be really helpful, because in the moment, as you can imagine, it's really hard, and as you likely know, it's really hard to do that. So deciding beforehand and really having a clear idea of what that's going to look like for you in a moment of a panic attack. So visualizing the details as much as possible. So all the senses, the smell, taste, the touch, sight, everything that was involved in your happy place, wherever that is. It could be a particular memory with your family. It can be a memory on your own that you felt really calm and at ease. But helping really place yourself into that moment. Again, this is all getting your mind out of the panic and into a moment where you're able to feel more in control and at ease. This will automatically slow down the panic and exchange whatever state you are in, which is that panic, into a calmer and happier state, which is ultimately our goal of taking control of these panic attacks. So panic attacks really can feel all-consuming. It can really take over and feel overwhelming. Trying these techniques and really taking hold of these methods can be very helpful, and we know that it has helped many people with panic attacks. And we are here to help. Our therapists and psychologists do specialize in anxiety, and we are happy to help. So feel free to catch the link below and schedule a free consultation with us, or reach out with any questions. All right, thank you for joining in. Until next time.